One day my dad came to me and he said, I'm worried about you, David. I said, over what, Dad? He said, you're selfish. He said, I don't ever see you offer to help people. And he says, it's time for you to learn to serve. I said, what'd you have in mind? And he said, our neighbor down the road, the Tates, he's dying. He's really sick. I said, I know that. And he's too sick to put out his corn. And I want you to go down and talk to Mrs. Tate and offer to serve them. I want you to do something for them, not looking for something in return. And I said, whoa, Dad, whoa. I said, I know you love me, and I don't want to be selfish. That's a sin. But, Dad, we don't want to do the Tate's corn. I said, there's not a nastier, meaner woman on the planet than Mrs. Tate. She's the devil's cousin, Dad. All that woman does is cuss at us and shoot at our dogs. Have you ever said to God, give me somebody really nasty to serve? Oh, no, I don't want to do that. God will answer that prayer. My dad said, I picked the Tates for a reason, son. If you can't learn to serve, you're going nowhere with God. Well, we went down to the Tates, knocked on their door, and here come Mrs. Tate. She opened the screen door. She didn't say hi. She opens the screen door and cusses me out, standing there. Blankety, blank, 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 blank. What do you want, Little Gibbs? What do you want? Now, back then, everybody called me Little Gibbs. And I know that's hard to imagine today. I told my dad, I said, you hear that? What do you want, Little Gibbs? I don't want nothing. My dad wants to talk to you. And my dad stepped right, he said, no, tell her what you want to do. I said, Miss Tate, I know your husband's dying. Yes, that's right. And you're not getting your crop out. She said, that's right. I said, well, we'd like to help get your crop out. And my dad stopped me and he said, tell her it would be your privilege. I said, my dad thinks I'm selfish, and I probably am. But my Bible says it would be our privilege to serve you. She said, well, my equipment is not ready. My dad said, that's okay. We'll use ours and fix yours. And she said, I don't have money for the seed or the herbicide. My dad said, that's okay. I'll get it all in. My boy wants to serve you because he's a Christian. She looked at me and she said, is that right? I said, well, yeah. Well, we got their crop out. Then we got it harvested. My dad sold the corn. He said, now I want you to take the money to her and thank her for the privilege. Took the money back to Miss Tate. I said, here you go, Miss Tate. She looked at me and she said, I know you guys are always inviting us to go to church, and we've never taken you up on it, but any chance we could go this Sunday with you? I would think they went because he got saved. In less than 2 weeks, he was in eternity. At my wedding, Mrs. Tate was there. She said, I'm so glad your dad taught you to serve, son.